Welcome to the Vinny Rock Podcast.
I took the blows and did it my way.
It's time. The Vinny Rock Podcast.
Hey, what's up? It's the Vinny Rock Podcast. Neville, before we start, I have to go through these sponsors, and I haven't done this in like a week, so I'm going to fuck it all up. But we will. Oh, I mess this up quite a bit, and I get in trouble by Mike all the time, so it's kind of funny. But where are we at? Okay. Yo, we got Core Medical Group. Core Medical Group is a testosterone replacement therapy program. All right. If you are a man above 25 and you haven't had your blood work checked, I recommend it. Go get it checked. Go get your blood work done. Mostly you're going to find out that you have low testosterone, and it's time to get that fixed. Low T could be the reason why your penis doesn't work, right? Low libido and low sex drive, but not even that is why you're probably not feeling yourself and you're not getting healthy the way that you want. You've been going to the gym for a few weeks, don't feel any changes. You probably have low T. Go check out Core Medical Group. Hit them up. You will love them. They're a great company. If you guys need anything from them, hit me up and I can give you a direct phone number. Live Bearded is what I use on the beard. I trimmed it down because I needed to refresh and let the chin breathe. But now we're starting to grow it out again. I do get very ashy here in Salt Lake City, and so I use the oils even when I have a low beard just like this to keep the skin nice and beautiful. You guys go hit up Live Bearded. Promo code is Rocco, ROCCO. Willie Pete's Chocolate is a veteran-owned chocolate manufacturing person. He does it himself, all at the comfort of his home. He grows these hot chili peppers. He makes the chocolate. He puts them together in a crazy, delicious fashion. You guys would love them. Go check out WilliePeachChocolates.com. Deadeye Outfitters is your outdoor apparel. These guys make now some socks that you would love. They're the best socks I've ever had in my entire life, but not even that. They also have a flannel. Those flannels, every flannel you buy, $10 goes to veteran. So if you guys want to help veteran cause and veterans, go check out those flannels at Deadeye. It's Deadeye Outfitters. Okay. Bullion Box. Use the promo code Rocco. You can get yourself a subscription-based service where they send you precious metals. Right now is the time to get on the precious metal market. It's hitting big. I shared a few videos the other day. You guys got to go check those out. My man, freaking Charlie gets it done, gives you all the information you need. Veteran is my company. Go check it out. We're still giving away a truck. We're running down to the wire at the end of it. Go hit it up at veteran.com. That's veteran with a B. Modern Gun School is a distance learning armor school that you can use your Voc Rehab and your GI Bill. Go check it out. They do all kinds of incredible stuff. If you guys want to get their website directly, it's going to be mgs.edu. All right. And last but not least, Manscaped, home of the Lawnmower 3.0 and the lawn trimmer. There's so many things I can tell you about this. We're going to get to that later on in the show. But Manscaped, go use promo code Rocco. Get yourself 20% off and free shipping. Hit them up right now. Let's get to the podcast. My man, Neville, what's going on?
Hey, man. Good morning. How's it going that side?
It's been hectic, dude. I just got home from filming that TV show that I do, and I'm trying to catch up on everything I have at home. It's actually been a little crazy, but it's a blessing. I've been working, and so I can't complain. Now it's time to work on another project. I'm actually working on a writing project now, and which makes this conversation even better because you served in the military, right? But after that, you got in. We'll get into that later, but you got into writing. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I got into writing a few years after I got out. So, but always had this connection, this desire to write. I never knew what, I never knew where or how, but I know it was always within me, and I always wanted to write something down. But I never had the confidence. I never had I would say self-confidence to just put it on paper because I think I was just too afraid what people might think or say. That was the biggest thing.
Someone asked me the other day, actually, one of my good friends from basic training, he goes, how does someone start their path to becoming a writer, actor, and producer? And I said, confidence. And you know, and I know it's like we can all aspire to want to be all these things until you have the confidence to put yourself out there. It's actually a very vulnerable thing to do, to attempt something like writing or acting or anything in the creative space, even like songwriting, right? I just put out a song recently, and it takes enough confidence that you're like willing to just try, you know?
Yeah. It's just putting myself out there, because I was used to just staying in my lane, playing the grey man, not saying boo to anyone, and comfortable with that, comfortable being in that zone, which was, I think, not a mistake, but it was not the right lane to be, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and for sure. And how young were you when you knew you wanted to write? Like how young were you when you knew that was something that you were interested in, but just didn't know how to?
Back as a kid, I think, because I always loved reading, but again, never had the confidence to actually put pen to paper. It's always been there, reading books as a young kid. But then I started to actually write once. I think when we deployed to Sangin, 2007, that's where I kept a journal. Not so much of writing my feelings or thoughts or poems at that stage, but just purely writing down the amount of bloody contacts that we had on a daily basis in 2007 in Sangin.
Where's that at?
Sangin, Afghan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we'll go back there. You were born in South Africa?
Correct, yep.
Right, and then eventually you found yourself joining the military. What was it? What inspired you to join the military?
Well, I joined the British Army because I was born and raised in South Africa, and I left the country in 2000. But it's, I think it was just a family thing. It was born and bred within the family, because my old man is ex-South African police force. My one grandfather, he was a pilot in the Second World War. My other grandfather, he was a traffic officer. Another uncle, he was a fire officer in a fire brigade. So it was always a desire to follow that path. And then I ended up joining the British Army.
I said, what did you do in the Army?
Infantry, and then the recon platoon.
And you had several deployments, right? You had some that were non-combat and several that were combat, correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, my first deployment was in Northern Ireland. So when I joined the battalion, or infantry unit company, it was straight into Northern Ireland. Back then, I had no idea what it meant to be in Northern Ireland at the time, or the history of the place. So I was there for 2 years, and then deployed over to Cyprus. I was there for 2 years. During that time, I deployed to Iraq twice. In 2005 and again in 2006, and then ultimately in 2007 we deployed to Afghan, to Sangin, DC.
So which one of your deployments would you feel were probably the hardest deployment you had?
I would say the one in Afghan, the one in Sangin. That was just full-on war fighting. It was you see something, you eliminate the threat. It wasn't a peacekeeping mission. It was, I would say, Afghan, and the one in Sangin was definitely the highlight of my Army career. Definitely.
Yeah, and you already said that's where you started to write. You were just writing how many times you guys had contact, but like, was there more to that? Was it like just kind of taking notes for yourself for later?
In the beginning, it was taking notes for myself, but as time went on, I started to write down my thoughts and feelings of that time there. You know, you stay there long enough. Things appear, things disappear along the way, and I just started to write just more ideas on how I felt at the time, and just I started filling pages. So instead of just writing down, we got contacted with an RPG or sniper fire or small arms fire, I started to actually write down how I felt at that particular time of stage, and I just started writing, filling pages, and I kept that journal. And then once we finished our deployment, that little journal with photos and everything else, I just stored away in the shoebox. I think it was a decision to forget about it. I've actually been there and I've deployed there.
Yeah, and so I mean, I've done the same thing in 2005 when I was in Iraq. We were in MOSUL, and that was a pretty good deployment for us. And so I started writing, and I had that green book. Like in the military, we all had these green books. I don't know if you guys had the same ones.
The same,
yeah. And so I started writing stories, but I was also writing these interesting moments in the deployment, like, oh shit, today was kind of crazy, whatever the case, right?
Yeah, same.
And then what's funny is I've gone back to read it, and at that time I wasn't a very good writer at all, but it was just like, it was so honest because it was just emotions, you know what I mean? And so when you went back to that and you read it, is that where you were able to start picking apart and deciding, you know what, I'm going to try and write some poetry? Or what inspired you to go from just writing format to in the poetry? Because look, you're an infantry dude like me, right? We're around a bunch of tough guys, and you start telling these motherfuckers like, hey, I'm going to write poetry. Yeah. They're going to be like, okay, what's wrong with this motherfucker?
Yeah, so, exactly. I mean, I never wanted to share anything, any of my writing. I thought, like, the boys, the lads are going to rip me apart. They're going to rip me a new one. They're going to take the piss out of me. They're going to post it on fucking Facebook, and they're going to absolutely laugh at it. And I told no one. I told no one about that little journal I kept. But same with you. I started writing things down, and I just started writing down about this beautiful scenery. In this beautiful scenery in Afghanistan, in the valley, here we are. And it was until, I think, 2019 that I came across it was an ad by Dead Reckoning and Collective by Keith and Tyler, the two main dudes that's behind that they ask for submissions.
Yeah, so, it's the Poet Society, correct?
Yes, correct. Dead Reckoning.
Yes.
Collective. By, I think, one of your writing is in the first book, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm in. There's probably 6 of my poems in their first book.
Oh shit, yeah. And then they came out in 2019. I thought, shit, this is my chance. Either I do it or I do it. I get out my lane and I just go and try. And if I fail, I can so be it. I've tried. And I submitted 3 poems, and it wasn't until the back end of 2020 that an email came from them saying that they've accepted 2 of my second collection. Fucking man, and yeah, I was over the moon.
Yeah, so you guys listening right now, it is Dead Reckoning Collective. You can check them out on Instagram. I think I had 6 poems, and when they're first published, it is like a collective of veteran-owned and operated publishing. It's a veteran-owned and operated publishing company producing literature by veterans for everyone. And the book that I was in, I can't remember the name of that one, but the book that I was in essentially was a book of veteran poems. And it was the first one I believe they published. Might have been in the second one. I'm trying to look at the title for it. But I remember they were doing this, and I got excited myself because, I don't know, you know what I mean? I've been writing poetry for a long time, and I haven't had a place to put it. And I don't have enough poems to do my own book, right? So, you know, I have about maybe 20 different little poems. And when I saw them doing this, I was like, yeah, I'd love to be a part of that project. And so I sent in about 8 poems or something, and 6 of them got selected. And I was pretty excited about that because I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So this is now, what is it? I'm trying to think of the title, but yeah, so that's the first time you saw veterans in poetry.
Correct. That was the very first time that I've seen something. And then after the initial submission, I think I just had a bit of, I would say, self-confidence. I thought, shit, I mean, I'm going to actually write a bit more. So I jumped to the chance to find that little book or that journal that I had. And from that, I started to write more over the course of the back end of 2019 and the whole of last year. And then during that time, I started to post more on my social media. Again, way outside my comfort zone, to actually put myself out there thinking, fuck, you know, if one of my mates that I served with in Afghanistan see this, they're gonna laugh. I thought, fuck it, I'm gonna take that leap and I'm gonna try. And I wrote more stuff. A lot of them in the beginning, absolutely honking. It's not something I would put up, but I did, and I think I got better over the course of 2020.
You say the word honking. What does that mean?
Bad, as in it's absolutely shit writing. So I thought I'm just gonna put it out there. If they laugh, so be it. At least I tried. Because I think there's probably one other bloke that I served with in the British Army that's on my unit that's got something out there in the form of writing and poetry. Otherwise, the rest just don't. So I thought I'm going to try. I think over the course of the year, I just got, I think, more self-confidence, and I got better and better.
Yeah, there's something to the fact of getting the confidence and now trusting in your writing, and then you start pouring all of your emotions into it, and it just gets better. I found that my writing gets better the more honest and open I am about it all, and so it just keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And so my poetry has gone into music, right? Have you seen that? I put some songs out.
Yeah, I've seen.
Yeah, so those songs are nothing but poems. I just wrote the poem and I sent it to a songwriter, and we both collaborated on turning it into music. Because it's this thing where like my poetry was being read, but it was, I don't know if it was being read by the masses, right? Because still poetry is this thing where like some people are like, I don't read poetry, right? Okay, but do you listen to music? Well, fuck it. Let me turn it into music for you then. You know what I mean? And so that's what I've been doing recently, because it's just, I can hit you with the poem or I can hit you with the song. I have them both. Which one do you want to hear? You know what I mean? And that's been really cool. But I found the book that we did. The first volume was In Love and War. And that was volume 1. Yeah. And I had, I believe, 6 poems in that were powerful. It was cool to see other people reading my stuff in the veteran community and veterans reaching out to me saying like, bro, your words were so profound. I thought that was really cool. And me and Leo Jenkins, we're good buddies. Leo's probably one of the first veteran writers that I knew, him and Marty Scolvin. And Marty is more in the space of, he wrote the book Violence of Action, I believe it's called. And that's about a bunch of Ranger stories that were beautiful. And then he's more now into the journalism style of writing. And then Leo is a very artsy style writer. He just writes his life and experiences, and he's brilliant as well as what he does. And that's kind of what they were the ones who essentially opened the door for me to be a writer, because I saw dudes doing it, right? Like I know Leo is a medic. That's not the same as an infantry dude. At the same time, it is, because he was also an Army Ranger. And so we lived very similar lives. And sometimes I felt like his writing as on a medic side was a little different than what mine would be, but at the same time, very similar. And then as I started writing, I was like, fuck, it was cool to have a guy like him kind of open that door. Him and Marty were essentially the ones that made it okay to write as an Army Ranger, because there wasn't too many of us writing at the time,
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, do you have one of your favorite poems that you would be able to read to us?
Yeah, sure. I've got one here that I've pulled up. That's not in the book, but it's somewhere else, but I can read it for you if you want.
I would love it, brother.
Yeah, man. Let me just quickly scroll and just look for it. I can read a short one and a bit longer one, I think.
Yeah, let's do them both. That'd be beautiful.
Okay, so I've got here, it's called Sunset. Sanger Valley's sunset piece. This foreign landscape, a thing of beauty. A sunset I will remember. My thoughts, my memories beyond those hills. Everything so insignificant. Feeling calm, feeling content. This moment don't last. The sun burns out. The night regains its throne. Peace in the valley, if only for a while.
And that one's talking about Afghanistan.
That was Afghan. Yeah, that was during the time on guard duty on one of the posts during sunset. As I started my shift for that night on one of the posts.
What people don't get how in a war-torn country you can still find beauty.
Oh, hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Even before a morning attack, because they had this ritual of the Taliban attacking our compound. It was the first 20 days there. I was just basically defending the compound. And that first day mornings before they attack, it was that serene, quiet, eerie beauty of that valley before everything just erupt.
And that's what that poem pretty much is talking about, right? The calm before the storm, the beauty before the war.
Storm, yeah, man. And I thought for me, I don't think at this stage I can write anything else other than I haven't experienced. I thought I'll write what I know. And back then, what I've been through, fighting the Taliban in that environment, I thought that's what I know. And that's what I'm going to write about.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, let's hear that second one.
Second one is Helmand Streets. Broken mind, body and soul. Unforgiving Helmand heat. Beauty beyond these Sangan streets. Bit of a short one there.
No, it's good. Somebody say it one more time.
One more for you.
That will read that one more time if you don't mind.
Okay, sure. It's cool. It's titled Helmand Streets. Broken mind, body and soul, unforgiving Helmand heat, beauty beyond these Sangan streets.
It reminds me so much of my time in Mosul. I remember moments of like, yeah, I might die here, you know, and like coming to terms with that, like, okay, this is probably where it's going to be. And it's cool. It's kind of like in my head at that time in Mosul, we were having, you know, we were getting into, you know, firefights. We had all kinds of stuff was happening within a freaking 3-week period, right? In the 3-week period, we had contact, but like things that you train, but you never expect, like some dude throwing freaking hand grenades, right? Another one was the vehicle in front of us, this guy hit an ID, right? And you're doing all these things. You're like, oh shit, we trained this, but fuck, it's actually happening, right? Yeah. And I remember like thinking like, okay, this is the real deal. Like we're having contact and it's getting more significant each time. We had a helicopter shot in the sky and they had to recover their helicopter. And we're like, what the fuck, dude? Like one thing, if it rains, it pours, you know, and it was just one thing after another. And I remember there's so many moments just sitting there on a knee, pulling security and thinking like, I wonder what night it's going to be where I fucking die, you know?
Yeah.
And like, not mad at it either. Just completely, okay. And it's almost the honorable one. Like, well, if I'm going to die, this is the right time. This little war we're having, this moment of Mosul and shit was like, this would be a worthy death, you know? Yeah. And then soon as I heard we were getting redeployed, I was like, thank God, let's go. Like there was these moments where like, I'm ready. It's fine. I'm ready to die. And they said, all right, we're going to redeploy. I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah. And then like every mission after that was like, dear Lord, let's go home. We're so close. You know what I mean? We're so fucking close. It's funny moments. We did a lot of strikers, and you know what a striker is? Those rubber wheeled vehicles, 8 wheel.
Yeah.
We started using those because it was safer than what we were using was the Hummers or the GMVs. And I remember just putting my head on the wall and waiting for the countdown. They're like 10 minutes. And you're like, 10 minutes, 3 minutes. You're like 3 minutes, lock and load, ready. Nods on, battery's good. Go. And it's like that 10-minute window was always like, fuck everything else, war, you know? And it's such a thing that people don't, you know, I think it's something I've chased my whole life since.
Yeah, no, same. That's why I think I wrote a poem, which I think I'll read at a different sort of time. I want to leave that poem for a different day, but it's a poem I wrote, and it's about following in my dad's footsteps, where I followed him to war. Because he's the one that he done various operations in the South African border war in sort of early 80s, 70s, and 90s, you know. And it is about, I would have this person that I look up to, but it's more the image, that's something I had up there, and I want to follow that image, and I'm going to follow him to war. And it's, as you've said, you know, it's getting there, and then it's happening, and it's going down, and you just take one day at a time. You just take one day at a time. If it's going to take place, if it's going to happen, yeah, so be it, you know. But and then once you've finished, you're like, oh fuck yeah, let's go. We finished.
Let's go home.
Let's go home, man. Let's go. Let's jump on the tail, get off the Chinook helicopter, and just get out and then leave. You know.
That's exactly it. You get to the point where like, okay, let's go home. I got through it, and you're excited about that, and then you come home and realize your body or emotionally, you might mentally you're ready to come home, but like everything else is so conflicted with being home. You know,
exactly.
I explained to people that something about war was easy when you only had one thing to worry about, and that's, am I going to get killed today? If that's easy. Right. That's almost easy if that's the only thing you really have to worry about. Right. Personally, Vince Vargas doesn't have to worry about paying the bills, doesn't have to worry about, doesn't have to worry about nurturing a relationship with your significant other, doesn't have to worry about whether I'm a good dad or a bad dad, doesn't have to worry about goals and destinations and trying to be this or living up to the status quo or keeping up with the Joneses. Like, I don't have to worry about any of that. In war, it's survive or die. That's easy. And so when we come home, man, you get hit with the tidal wave of real life shit. And you're like, fuck this, dude. Send me back. Send me back.
Exactly. I suppose that's why many blokes that they want to go back, because it's what they know. It's what they've been trained for. They've got one objective, and it's to take out or eliminate and everyone is singing off the same song sheet. Everyone knows what's going to happen, what's going to take place, their role, and there's no other stuff to worry about. Nothing about having to look after your kids, make breakfast for them, work, wife. It's none of that, you know. So coming back, it's hard to explain, man.
I agree. And that's the funny thing is that's where I've always been conflicted. But before we jump into it, I have to go back to Manscape. This is our mid-podcast Manscape promotion. Don't forget, you guys can use promo code Rocco for 20% off and free shipping. Your balls will thank you. Hit up Manscape. Take care of those balls. Your wife will thank you also. But man, so I have a poem here, pulled up, that I wrote that doesn't get a lot of attention because I don't even know if this one's published. I have my own like blog site where I'll publish a few poems here and there. Oh yeah. And this one right here, I want to read it to you. And I put well put together. We're not broken, nor are we singular individuals. We have experienced levels of life that many will not do or even dare to. This actually makes us the complete opposite of broken. We are well put together. We have adapted and converted our originally vulnerable and innocent beings into calloused forms of experienced. We are better put together human. We are more complete. We're a more completed system that can withstand hardships. If used in the proper manner, we can accomplish unbelievable acts. We can live a fulfilled life, but only when we acknowledge the fact that what we went through made us complete. It made us ready to take on the world. And this was a poem in reaction to so many people thinking we're broken, even ourselves, right? And I like to say, I think we're more well put together than others because we can endure so much and still prevail. And when we turn the mindset of this very negative ideologies of veterans and broken and post, I would say we are way better and more capable of going out there and kicking ass in life because the hard days are kind of behind us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, so, totally. You know, those days of getting up early, getting the gear on at 3:00 in the morning for a night raid, it's over. You don't have to go on the range and zero the weapon system, and you don't have to deploy to a foreign country. You've done all the training. As you've said, you've done the hard yards. You've done it, and coming back, it should be a bit easier. You know,
right.
Just getting up in the morning, taking the kids to school. You know, there's no one that's going to plant IEDs on the side of the road.
We hope.
There's none of that, man. It's picking the kids up from after school care. It's easy. It's driving there, picking them up, and it's easy spending time with your family. You know, I've got 3 young kids, and I know that you've got kids, but spending time with them is easy. They want you're there at home. They can see their father, and you spend time with wife. Taking wife out for a date, it's easy. You don't have to get in the vehicle, body armor on, you know, lock and load. You don't have to. You've done the hard shit, man. You've trained for it. It should be easier.
Yeah, I agree. And it comes down to mindset, right? It comes down to how you take all that we experience and turn it into a positive and not a negative. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really what we have to do is we have to put all that, our experiences and and really digest that in a positive way and not the negative, because the negative will eat you alive. We've seen our own veteran brothers, it eats them alive, and they can't seem to get past it. But I think the cool thing as a writer, we have perspective, right? We see a different perspective. I think I kind of like to say we see things in layers that others probably wouldn't, right? Yeah. Like you're at war, but you're writing about the beautiful sunset, right? Or the sunrise, right? Like the beautiful thing about that is that you see beauty even in war. Yeah. That is why you also see positive from really terrible experiences, but you can turn it into this really beautiful, like, yeah, but that was good. I needed that, or whatever that was, it made me who I am today, which I'm blessed to have. And I think that's what's beautiful about the writing side of the world, or the writing side of the brain, is we can turn anything into a beautiful experience, or we see things, like I said, in different layers than others. Yeah. And I think it's healthy. Our community should welcome poetry. Our community should welcome a different perspective on the way they see it. Right.
Totally. Yeah, totally. Just bring it on paper. I think I made that choice. It was a choice of, I can sit here, I can fest in it, I can feel sorry for myself, I can be depressed, or I can rise above it. I can choose to put it on paper and then grow from that and move on, as opposed to sit there and choose to be depressed. I think I made that decision to move on, to get outside of my lane, get outside my comfort zone, and then rise above it and move on and be a better version of me. I mean, that was me and a different character, a different person back then in 2007. I've evolved, I've changed over the years. I'm now doing something totally different from what I did back in 2007. And I did different things before that. It's a different character. And I think Leo Jenkins mentioned that in one of his interviews he did, where it was a different character. I forgot what it was, but I moved on and I've changed, I evolved, and I made the decision to do that.
Well, that's it, making that decision. It comes down to realizing that 23-year-old me is not 39-year-old me, right? That kid right there, the guy that went to war, that's the war version of me. That's the guy that was ready to do anything he had to protect his brothers and sisters. That doesn't exist in my world anymore, right? Is there still a part of me there? Oh yeah. There's a version sitting there waiting in a room by himself, fully kitted up, waiting for the call. He's there. He's there. Yeah. But he doesn't really, he's just sitting there, and he'll sit there forever as long as I keep him there. And my goal is never to have to bring that guy out again, but there's always a part of me that is war. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and totally.
And the rest of me is like, it's like when you see war and you see death, the rest of me for the rest of my life only wants to see love. Right. Like everything before that. Yeah. Like all I want to see is love, because I've seen the worst. Now it's like, I'm so far past that. And so I don't want to nurture that side of me ever anymore, unless obviously worst case scenario, we have to, I love it.
Yeah. I mean, it's about moving on. It's about, I'm a different person now. I'm not that person. I've changed. I moved on. I've learned, and I'm a different person, where I've got a wife, beautiful wife, 3 young kids that keep me on my toes, that keep me young. And I've got an amazing job, and I've got the ability to put that on paper and then also evolve with that, change with that. I don't think I will always write about the war, but as I go on and as my writing improves and gets better, then write about other things. So that's going to evolve. That's going to change. It's not always going to be the war. It's not. But at this stage, that's what I know, and that's what I'm going to focus on, because I'm still new in the game.
Yeah, and I mean, your writing is eventually going to start turning towards your kids and your wife.
Well, the thing that there's a couple that I wrote about my kids, because I see that, and that's what I experience, and that's what I know, being a father now, having that responsibility, being that person and having a wife, and she supporting me and helping me and there for me, you know. And sometimes when I'm down in the dumps and I don't want to be with anyone, then she comes up, she gives me a good kick up the arse, says, stop feeling sorry for yourself, get up, chin up, let's move on, you know. You've got a responsibility. You've got the kids, you know, they want to see their dad, you know, they don't want to see a grumpy shit that's or not talking, or they want to see the dad, they want to spend time with the dad, you know. So yeah, she's good like that, where she helps me and she supports.
Love it, man. I love it. Thanks so much, man. I really appreciate having you on here, man. And hearing your story is huge to me. And it's funny, I see a lot of myself in you. Like, we have very similar experiences, very similar path. And I'm excited to see where your writing turns into, or where you develop and how you grow as a writer, where that goes.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on, and yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity to have this chat. And I believe that if I keep on this path, I'll just develop more and give it up.
Yeah, it just gets better, and you start challenging yourself as a writer, whether it continues to be poetry, whether it turns into a book, whether it turns into music, whatever it goes, just keep writing, putting it on paper, because there's a lot of warriors out there that are looking for a way to put into words that they can't, and they'll find that healing through you. So I really appreciate it, brother. Please tell the listeners where they can find your poems, where they can find you. This is your time to shine, brother.
Sure, they can find two of my poems in the War and After, the anthology of Poet Warriors, and collection 2 by the Dead Reckoning Collective. And then also I've got a couple of other poems that I managed to get published in 2 other books that was done by a British veteran. It was a collection of, I think, 6 or 7 other British veterans in 2 other books. One is called Alone in a Crowded Room. The other one is called Sweeping Leaves in the Wind. Those 2 as a collection of various, but the anthology of Poet Warriors, the one by the Dead Reckoning, that's the only one that's by in the States. The other 2 that was done in the UK. They're all 3. It's available on Amazon. Okay,
cool. Yeah, we have all the links, so I'll make sure I add those when we decide to publish this. Mike will get all that organized for you. We'll add your Instagram in there and any other link you want, so people can find you and listen to and read your beautiful poetry. And again, brother, I appreciate you coming on with me, man.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Sure, brother.
I took the blows and did it.